On today's episode of The Road to Hell is Paved with Good Intentions, I have a MS460 back on my bench like a boomerang. Let's dig into this. Oops. You see that? The bearing pocket. I went back and it's kind of nice doing this YouTube stuff. I went back and watched, and I even made mention on this MS460. This is the way it's like MS460 with aftermarket parts. This one had the Max Flow air filter kit on it. You can go back and watch it if you want. But I even made mention that it was nice and tight when I drove the bearings in. But it leaks like a sieve. I mean, just throwing a little bit. I mean, it's terrible. All right, so I got the rest of this case stripped down. I've got the case bolts out, and I thought, it would just lift off of here without using the puller, but the locator pins are probably still holding it together. So this is just how easy this works. That goes on the back side of the bearing. And then you want to get that nice and level. Come on. That's got a good bond with the bearing. I don't think that's holding it up, but I do need to lift up this foil. There we go. And that's a fair amount of force. There we go. I heard something click. There we go. And just a little easy help right here. That's just a mating surface where I pried on. Now, wouldn't be surprised to see his bearing just fall right out when I lift this off. So much for an interference fit. Okay, so I got a factory case half right here that I'm going to replace. This is the Farmertech one. There is no metal pocket for this. And he runs, on occasion, a 36-inch bar on this 460. Yes, it's a big ask. He runs skip chain. But in the factory case, there's a metal ring right there. I don't know if I can catch a light just right. Let me get you in there. And you can see, whoops, it sticks when I try and pull away. And this is just, that was kind of dumb, but it's going to prove a point here. It's probably more noticeable on this side. So when you look in there, that band right there is pressed into the magnesium housing. It's metal. And that's just a machined pocket. So let's talk about radial load on a saw. All right, so imagine the bars on here, and you've got a long bar pulling, when you got a nice sharp chain, the saw wants to suck up to the wood. That's pulling on this crankshaft because your clutch, drum, and whole drive system is attached to the end of this crank. So it's going to pull. So with that radial pressure pulling, it spun the bearing in the aluminum/Chinesium magnesium housing, where the metal here gives a more rigid support. Moreover, it's not going to expand as much when it gets warm. The steel versus the magnesium. Magnesium warms up and cools down really quick. So I think that's where the failure came from after scratching my head about this. That's about as least invasive as I could have possibly done this. Anyway, everything looks good, rolls good. And I got to swap out some bar studs and start putting all the stuff back on here. But, you know, for those of you who wonder why am I doing this, this is warranty work. I'm standing behind this. This is my fault for recommending a nice clean case on a fresh rebuild, because his case was absolutely killed. And, you know, it doesn't stand too terribly out of sight. As a matter of fact, this is a nice, pretty nice. I mean, obviously this has been degreased. And for those of you that are gonna say, oh, he's working on the sun, it's all dirty and he's gonna get. Look, the only thing that really matters is right in there. All that's hospital clean. This saw is gonna be filthy in a week, promise. You know, getting all the, everything's been going along really smooth. Before, when you torque down your muffler bolts in there, go ahead and just start these in. There's enough little bit of wiggle room right there. If you lock those down without the bolts in, when you go to put your muffler cover on, you have to loosen that up and redo. All right, all wrapped up here. I'm gonna service his max flow for him. I've already degreased this, washed it, rinsed it as best I can, blown it dry. I use Bel-Ray filter oil. It's the stickiest, most nastiest, disgusting, great working stuff there is. If you have one of these, let me know what you use. I haven't found anything better. I've tried the aerosol version of this, and it just doesn't seem to last. I've heard internet speak that that aerosol, the propellant, actually dilutes the oil. And this is a huge mess. You really need to have some gloves on when you do this, but you know, it's what it is. And you just want to get this, you know, well coated, work that in, and you can tell when you pull it apart, you've got, you know, some areas where it's lighter and darker, and just, I guess for a better term here, just knead it in. And this is holding all the oil, and even when I squeeze on it, I don't have any extra coming out. I mean, if I squeeze really hard, it'll come through my fingers. But it seems to last for a very long time. Just be gentle when you're stretching your foam back over. MaxFlow will sell you the individual pieces a la carte for the kit, so don't feel like if you ruin one of these foam filters, you're screwed. You can just go over to MaxFlow and order up whatever piece or part that you need for your MaxFlow kit. But you know, that's it in a nutshell. Just gently get that rolled over and try not to tear. You know, and I don't know if you can see in the light, but you know, I can see, it probably won't pick up on camera, but I see very fine threads that come off of there, off of the filter. That way I know I got a good coating and it's ready to go on. All right, now I got to figure out how to turn my camera on. Yay, that's done. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Well, that was pretty painless. A good fix. I know we'll be good from here on out. You know, this is a fresh rebuild. You know, 4 months ago, it just sucks that I had a case half failure. And I learned something. You know, I never really thought that that metal band that's pressed into the clutch side case half would really add up to something. But, you know, under extreme duty, it failed. So, no more commercial accounts for that. Anyway, thanks for staying with me today. I won't drag this out anymore. I appreciate you being with me. If you stayed here to the end and you're not subscribed, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks a lot.